Warning: the following video contains images and spoken word that may be too intense for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Any resemblance to any persons, places, or things is purely coincidental, and no factual statements are implied.
On an unusually hot summer morning, on a sun-drenched street in a small suburb of a city that is slowly coming to life, the rising sun sears the pavement in front of a small cafe that has just opened for business. A man already suffering from the heat slowly walks down the sun-baked sidewalk, past an old battle-worn pickup truck with wooden sideboards sitting parked outside. He turns slowly at the entrance of the cafe, and with a slight sigh of relief, he pushes open the door. Inside the cafe, it is quiet. The only thing breaking the silence is the sound of a server filling sugar containers and folding napkins behind the counter. Alone in the corner in one of the booths sits a young woman, staring intently at her phone, while slowly swirling a spoon in her cup of coffee. Her concentration, broken by the sound of the ringing bell hanging on the front door. The young woman lifts her head casually and sees the man standing in the entryway. He is carrying a satchel tucked protectively under his right arm. The man looked a bit nervous and disheveled, like he hadn't slept or eaten in days. Perspiration coated his face, the heat of the summer wreaking havoc on him. He welcomed the cool blast of the cafe's AC and stood enjoying the relief from the humidity outside. As the man let the cool air ease the sting from his reddened face, he scanned the cafe intently. It appears he is looking for somebody. The eyes of the man finally made contact with the young woman sitting in the corner, and noticed she was smiling at him. He nervously smiled back. The woman was maybe in her early 20s, long blonde hair pulled back into a ponytail. He walked slowly over to her table and asked, "Excuse me, are you Margaret Halloway?" "Yes, and you are Samuel Hayes," she replied confidently, holding out her hand. The man responded by shaking hers. "Yes, that's me. Thank you for meeting with me," he said nervously. "You're welcome. Please have a seat." Margaret gestured towards the space in front of her. "How was the drive?" Margaret asked in a friendly tone. "Long and boring, but that's just the way I like them." Samuel laughed slightly. Margaret smiled back and took a slow sip of her coffee. "So, your email said you had an unusual item to show me," Margaret asked. "Yes, it was sort of given to me," Samuel replied. "By some spirits, I believe you mentioned," Margaret followed up. "Yes, they were adamant that I take it from them and remove it from the graveyard," Samuel said nervously. "I should tell you that I don't usually investigate ghost sightings, but when you mentioned that you had an item, I got interested. May I ask how you heard of me? I don't advertise that I do this kind of work." "I am actually an antiques dealer by trade," Margaret questioned. "The spirits told me." "What?" Margaret replied, shocked. "Yes, mentioned you by name," the man replied, a little surprised. Margaret sat stunned and paused for a second. A chill ran through her as she wondered how they could have known her name. "Samuel, I have the ability to see things other people can't. And if there is anything to see in your item, I am probably your best chance to identify it for you." "Can you show me the item?" Margaret asked. "Sure, I have it right here," Samuel said while grabbing his bag. Samuel produced what appeared to be a small, intricately carved box. Margaret's sky-blue eyes instantly locked onto it. "Oh my," Margaret said excitedly. She couldn't help herself. Margaret stared at the box in Samuel's outstretched hand for a moment. "I think this thing is cursed," Samuel announced. "What makes you think it's cursed?" asked Margaret, not letting her eyes leave the box. "I have been having nightmares every night since I brought it home. Terrible nightmares, of monsters trying to kill me and eat me. I see shadows everywhere, watching me. I never feel alone anymore. I tried throwing it away, but it keeps showing back up. Usually somewhere where I would easily find it, Samuel said with a tone of dread in his voice. I see. It keeps coming back because it has attached itself to you, Margaret said, her words trailing off as she was deep in thought, her eyes still glued to the box. May I look at it more closely? Margaret asked. Sure, Samuel said, still holding the box out in front of him. Margaret grabbed a cloth napkin from the table and then gently laid the napkin over the box and slowly picked the box from his hand. Sorry, but this thing might cling to whoever touches it, and I don't want it to be me. Not yet, anyway. Not until I know what I'm dealing with, Margaret said apologetically. No worries, I don't blame you, Samuel replied. Margaret's eyes danced over the box and the strange carvings all over it. It really wasn't a box at all, just a block of wood with glyph-like carvings all over it. The lines appeared to be one single line that covered the entire box. Not a space was left empty, as if to not leave a spot where something could get in, or something to get out. The lines are filled with the patina of age. Years of dirt filled the grooves, and the corners of the box rounded by the thousands of hands that have handled it over the years. These are containment glyphs, Margaret thought to herself. Margaret tried to see into the box, to look past the carvings, to get an idea if there was anything inside, but the glyphs blocked her sight. These carvings are glyphs. They have power. I can feel it. Margaret smiled as she scrutinized the carvings. Amazing, Margaret said in awe of the box. She could feel a tingle in her fingers, even through the napkin. The vibrations from the box made her fingers numb. She transferred the box from one hand to the other in the napkin, rubbing her thumb over the fingertips of her empty hand to ease the numbness. She turned the box over to see its bottom. Do you feel anything when you hold it? Margaret asked. I just feel drained, like I ran a marathon, Samuel replied. Margaret nodded with confirmation. It does contain something, but I doubt we will be able to remove what's inside. It's not a physical thing. This could be a spirit vessel, Margaret responded, and it's locked tight, like nothing I have seen before. Margaret set the box down on the table and took pictures of it with her phone. I will have to research these carvings. Are you going to be in town for long? Margaret asked, snapping pictures. If you can help me, I will be here as long as it takes. I need to get rid of this thing. You see, it's killing me, Samuel said solemnly. Margaret looked at Samuel intently. She saw the drain in his eyes now. She was so focused on the box, she hadn't noticed Samuel looked ill. Yes, I can see now. It's feeding on you, Margaret said, deep in thought, looking at Samuel. Then she shook her head abruptly. Sorry, that was callous of me. I will do what I can to help you. Thank you, Samuel replied. Do you have a place to stay in town? Margaret asked. I will get a hotel room, Samuel replied. Good. Here is my cell number. Text me once you have a room. I will contact you when I have found something. Margaret collected her things and started to stand up. How long do you think this will take? Samuel asked hesitantly. I don't know. But I do realize you don't have a lot of time to wait. I will hurry the best I can, Margaret said reassuringly. I know somebody that works with glyphs like these, and they will help, Margaret said. Margaret jumped into her truck and drove straight home, staring intently forward as she drove. Why couldn't she see inside the box? Were the glyphs blocking her sight? When Margaret got home, she quickly got on her laptop. She didn't have much time to waste. She logged into the Discord server Enchanted Items and quickly uploaded the pictures she took of the box. Have you seen glyphs like these before? She typed. Nope, replied one person. Creepy, want to sell it? Replied another. Margaret rubbed her eyes and let her hair loose from her ponytail. She didn't care about the responses from the regular members. There was only one person she was waiting for. Suddenly, she saw the response she wanted. A message in a private chat window appears. A user going by the name of Elmer. "Hello, young lady. That's an interesting item you have there," Elmer replied. Margaret stared at the glowing words on her screen for a moment. "Do you know what it is?" she typed back. "Not exactly, but I think I might have an idea what it might be." "You didn't touch it, did you?" Elmer typed back. "You know me better than that," she replied. "Yes, I know, but I can worry," Elmer returned. "It belongs to a client, and I should tell you it comes with a great backstory. Are you interested?" Margaret asked. "Very," Elmer replied. "Are you at home?" "Yes," Margaret replied with a concerned look on her face. "I will come to you. It must be important to warrant a visit." "What is this thing?" Margaret typed. "A father never needs a reason to come see his daughter," Elmer replied. "Of course, Papa, it will be nice to see you," Margaret smiled. "And I to see you, it's been a while. Can you see through the glyphs?" Elmer typed. "No, they are blocking me," Margaret replied. "I'll bet there is a good reason for that." "Has your client touched the object?" Elmer asked. "Yes," Margaret replied. "Then we don't have much time. I am far away, but I can be at your home in a few hours." "Thank you, Papa," Margaret typed excitedly. "Don't spend too much time around that object or your client until I arrive there, daughter," Elmer typed. "Yes, Papa," Margaret replied. Elmer logged off the server and Margaret let out a long sigh. If Papa is worried about this thing, then it is something I also should be very worried about, Margaret thought to herself. Margaret sat for a moment. She was excited, a little scared, and she knew it was going to be hard to get any sleep tonight. She couldn't wait for what tomorrow might bring.